Hello all. So in previous lecture we learned about techniques for performing I/O, programmed I/O, interrupt driven I/O and direct memory access. So this in the comparison how we can transfer the data from input output to memory. Okay. So transferring of data uh, through processor or without processor. So if we are going to use without processor, we need to transfer the data, then we can do direct memory access, which is very efficient. So here we have to study first the evolution of I/O function. So processor directly control the peripheral devices. That is the very first thing we were using in late of this evolution. So the microprocessor controlled devices are the one who uses this processor direct control. Then next evolution is controller or I/O module. So here I/O module, separate I/O module is added. The processor uses the program I/O without interrupt. So programmed I/O we are using here, and the processor does not need to handle details of external devices like in previous. Then next evolution, if there is a priority task, then we need the interrupts. So that time next controller or I/O module with interrupt evolved. So here processor does not spend time waiting for I/O operation to perform. And the last what we are using now is direct memory access. Now in this type of I/O function, the block of data are moved into memory without involving the processor. So the processor evolved at the beginning and end only. Here efficiency of processor is increased because it is not every time interrupted, right? Then in the DMA we can have different types of I/O modules. So I/O module as a separate processor, or I/O module with its own local memory, etc. So in detail we are going to study about this DMA and its module in coming slides. So what is direct memory access, that we will study in detail here. The processor delegates, passes, or we can say facilitates I/O operation to DMA module. So whatever I/O operations I want to do, that is processor want to do. So instead of doing it self, what it do? So processor, it transfers or it gives control to DMA module, so that processor can continue other work which are more important, like processor scheduling or checking the deadlock, etc. whatever. Okay, rather than waiting for input and output operations, so processor can work more efficiently for other tasks. Hence it passes control to DMA module. Now here DMA module transfer the data directly to or from memory over a system bus. Okay, that is the main task of DMA. So when complete, the DMA module sends an interrupt signal to the processor. So only one time processor is interrupted. Now we will see how DMA work. When processor wish to read or write block of data, it issues command to DMA module by sending following information. Whether read or write is requested using read-write control line between the processor and DMA module. Then the address let's continue. So we were seeing DMA working. When the processor wish to write or read a block of data, so what it do, it issues a command to DMA by sending following information. So as we discussed, processor will not perform any data transfer directly. So when there is a request, then processor send that read write request to DMA through following forms. That is, first it will send whether read or write is requested using read or write control line between processor and DMA module. Then second, it sends the information address of input output device evolved. Third is starting location in memory to read from or to write communicated through the data lines and stored by DMA module in its address register. Then next it send the number of words to be read or written. So it is again communicated by the data line stored in the data count. So this for information is sent from processor to DMA module. Now let's see the working of DMA. So when there is a request, the processor send that request with information to this DMA. So whatever incoming lines we can see is coming from processor. So read and write is coming from processor. Then these two directional lines, that is address lines and data register. So for each IO there is a separate data register, right? So which data register I need to access, so that information provided by processor. Once we get the data, we can acknowledge that. So DMA sends the request and get the acknowledgement of the data. Now it performs the input operation, that means it takes whatever the data required from memory or to write on memory. So after completing its task, at the last this DMA control logic will send an interrupt to processor informing the process is complete. Okay, so this is what the DMA working. Now what type of different DMAs we have? So whatever data is transferring, either addresses or memory locations or size of read and write, etc. So everything we can see through the system lines or bus, right? And we have some modules attached to the system lines. So depending on that, we have different configurations of DMA. First is single bus detached DMA. So a single bus connecting processor, DMA, IO, memory, everything separately. That's why it is a detached DMA. Another configuration is single bus integrated DMA. So there is a single bus and DMA. To that DMA, whatever IO devices we require, so that can be integrated. That's why integrated DMA IO. Then alternate DMA configurations, we can have DMA with IO bus and IO module attached. Okay, so these are the explanation of this configuration. So we can see single bus integrated DMA is more efficient than single bus detached DMA, and combined IO and DMA system by system bus that is expandable, and less use of system bus will be there. That is the more efficient. Then some operating system design issue, that is the efficiency, like most of IO devices extremely slow compared to main memory and processor. So the use of multi-programming allows some processor to be waiting on IO while another process executes. So this type of multi-programming we can do, but IO cannot keep up with the processor speed, obviously. So in IO we need to wait for incoming data and writing to the some memory, right? So processor do not do this waiting thing. That's why we can say it is a slower than processor. Then swapping is used to bring the additional ready processes to keep processor busy. So swapping concept also we are going to study in coming slides. Then generality, so the desirable to handle all IO devices in uniform manner. So hide most of the details of IO device in lower level routine, so that the processor and upper levels see the device in general terms, like only read write operations, open close operations, like this. So we try to find the generality. The reasons of buffering, so processor must wait IO to complete before proceeding, and some certain pages must remain in main memory during IO. So this type of buffering is required. That means this is the main new concept, input output buffering. Okay, so we'll take a single break. Let's see.